Hey everybody, this is Yusi from Free2Game TV, and today I'll be playing some World of Tanks. Now, I've decided for the next couple of weeks I'll be putting up some guide videos or tutorial videos, or call them what you will, of certain tanks. You know, what tactics I use playing certain tanks, and you know, their weaknesses, their strengths, kind of just review videos of playing certain tanks and how it works and what to do and what not to do in them. So this is the first of those videos. I will be playing my Tiger II. Um, Definitely one of, if not my favorite tank in the game. This thing for its tier is a beast and can pretty much handle anything that you can throw at it. Granted, if it is fully upgraded, all my tanks that I will be featuring will be fully upgraded. So yeah, let's get into battle and see what trouble we can get into here. A little bit about the Tiger II, why I like it so much. It's for its tier. It's extremely bouncy. It can bounce a lot of shots, especially if you position yourself properly. You kind of want to angle your hull at about 30 degrees when you're taking fire head on, and it'll bounce quite a few rounds that way. The gun isn't too bad. It's a 105mm gun with decent penetration on it. It's a good sniper tank. And it's also a decent brawler tank, if you do need to get up close with it and do some close combat. Alright, let's see. This is Cliff. What I usually like to do at the beginning of every game is just kind of hang back and see how my team disperses, and then kind of fill in any open gaps or anything that needs filling in. Get out of the way here so people can go around me. Looks like I will be going west, which is just watching the western edge here. Western passage, which is something I don't usually do. I usually like going all the way to the east around that cliff there, around the lighthouse. But since there's nobody else going here apart from myself and this IMX, and I guess the 75 is turning around now, and this is the low? No, the low's going. Okay. So since there's nobody else going this way, or very few other tanks going this way, I guess I'll head over here and watch to make sure we don't get attacked from this pass here. Hopefully this AMX gets out of the way here. There we go. And there's a T-30 up ahead. Bounced off, of course. Now, when I mean positioning your hull properly in this thing, when I mean positioning your hull properly in this thing, let's assume that where that IS was, or where my reticle is pointing, is where you'll be getting shot from. So the way my tank is sitting right now, at this angle, is ideal to bounce as many shots as you possibly can. Let's see if this IS pops out again. And this, as I mentioned before, I tend to use this tank more as a support tank than a frontline brawler tank. That said, it can definitely hold its own against, if it comes down to it, if you do have to get into some close combat fights, if you do have to do some brawling, it can definitely hold its own against other tanks and even higher tiered tanks. This guy just got shot by something. I didn't see what it was, but I did bounce it. Now I'm going to do something extremely stupid over here. Poke out at this ISA, take a shot, and then pull back. I don't usually want to be doing this. I call it playing peekaboo. You know, when you're behind cover and enemies behind cover, you're kind of poking out at each other, it's exchanging shots. It's not something I recommend. It's actually something. That was already. It's actually something I don't recommend people doing at all, because yeah, you might be able to kill whatever you're fighting. Here. heal my driver over here. You might kill whatever you're fighting, but you'll normally be so low on health yourself that it's just not worth it in the long run. You'll essentially be using... I missed. Always also, that's another thing, and I'm not following my own advice here very well today. Another thing is when you're taking shots, you don't normally want to be moving. You want to be standing still so you have time to aim. And zoom in and take a good shot instead of just wasting around needlessly. That said, you also want to zoom in every time you're about to shoot at something.
We've lost a track.
Which increases your chances of hitting it, of course. I just got RD'd here and my track got taken out. Why didn't repair well? I didn't really have too many enemy tanks around me, so there really wasn't an immediate need to repair. Let's see if I can grab that already. Up. Really wasn't an immediate need to repair. You know, I wasn't in danger of getting taken out right there and then. So that's why I didn't waste that repair kit. I usually try and avoid using them on fixing tracks as much as possible, save them for either my ammo rack getting taken out, and there's the arty. Either my ammo rack getting taken out, or my gun getting destroyed, or my engine. Tracks are essentially the last thing I'll use a repair kit on, if I don't have to. That said, there are situations where you know you'll probably get killed at any point if you're in a dangerous area and you have to get out right there and then of course you use it on repairing the tracks. But usually I try and save that for more important modules, and this game looks to be over anyways. This is the last one left. And that's that. So that is game number 1. Didn't go as well as I... But let's keep going. I'll usually try and do at least 2 to 4 games in each of these videos for each tank. That way I think it gives you guys the best idea of what the tank is capable of, and you know, lets me get the most information across to you guys. So let's hop into a Live Oaks standard battle, and I am towards the bottom of the list. Meaning we're gonna try and kind of hang. Again, play a support role, not a front line role. Great thing about this tank is I can pretty much, you know, some tier 8 tanks, you get into a kind of battle like this and you're going, oh boy, I'm gonna have a hard time penetrating any of this. But the great thing about this tank is I can pretty much penetrate everything here as long as I know where I'm shooting it. The Object 268 might be a bit of a problem.
Let's go.
If I come up against it, but it shouldn't be too bad. General rule of thumb when you're shooting at enemies is you want to aim for the lower glacis plate, which is obviously the one that's sloping down towards the ground, especially on tanks such as the Tiger II, if you're ever going up against one actually. The lower glacis plate, you usually never want to aim for the turret on a tank, just because that's where most of the reinforced armor is, or the upper glacis plate, because that's where most of the slope is, as well as the reinforced armor. That said, some tanks do have the driver's hatches and stuff on the frontal glacis plate, such as I believe most of the IS variants. So you do want to shoot for that, or the viewports, or the machine gun ports, and the frontal plates of the tank. But usually, if you can help it, the lower glacis plate, the best of course being the rear of the tank or the side armor of the tank. But if you can only get a head-on shot or a frontal shot, then the lower glacis plate is what you want to aim for. Which, once again, is the bottom plate that slopes down towards the ground. That's usually the German tanks have either their engines or their transmissions there also, so it's easy to take the engine at, or to set the tank on fire aiming for that. And makes your life a lot easier. So another thing I love about this tank, it's for its tier and for a heavy tank, it's actually fairly maneuverable.
That's gotta hurt.
Now, if you guys that are watching this, you might be asking yourself, why am I not zooming in all the way to hit these tanks? And that's just a bad habit I've been developing lately. I just visually speaking, it looks a lot cooler if you don't zoom in, you just take a shot and it hits. But it's again another thing I wouldn't recommend doing. It's obviously it's a lot easier to zoom in and hit the tank like that. But it just looks a lot cooler if you know you take a shot and it goes boom without you being zoomed in. Always situations like these when you're kind of sitting out in the open, especially with 4 artillery on each side. You want to be moving around as much as possible. Kind of even back and forth. If you have nowhere else to go, just move back and forth, kind of throw the arty up. Don't present yourself as a easy target. That said, I would recommend always try and stay as arty safe as you possibly can. And that might be easier in some situations than in others. What I'm going to do is go hide down here. I think it's safe to say that this game is pretty much over once again. Our team in the city got wiped out completely, and it looks like they let a light tank through to play around with our arty, to mess up our arty. So what I'm going to do here is just kind of try and get a couple of more shots in before you can either get killed or they cap it. Another thing, you're always trying to go for damage on enemy tanks, not necessarily kills. Yeah, you do get a little bit more XP for getting kills, I believe, but just that. But where it's really at is the amount of damage you do. The more damage you do to tanks,
We're done for. Everyone
the more experience you'll get. So you definitely want to try to do as much damage as you possibly can in any game. And this is way over as Ferdinand's about to go down. Panther 2 might be able to hold its own for a little bit longer against M103 with that one. Well, no. So that's 0 for 2 today. Not doing very hot so far. Let's give this another go. Westfield. And I am seated a lot better than I was in the previous game. I think we can definitely get a little bit more and not worry about getting two-shot by big guns. Definitely one of the first things you want to do getting into any battle is just take a look at your team composition and take a look what the enemy team is made up of. And just kind of gauge, you know, what tanks might be hard to fight against, or what tanks you might have an easier time. Really the only thing I really want to look out for on the other side is the T-34s. Those things hurt quite a bit, and if they get themselves into a good hull-down position, where you can't actually hit them in the hull, but only their turrets sticking up and they can still hit you, they're pretty much indestructible because their turrets are so heavily armored. Also another thing to to notice is there's not that much arty. There's only one artillery on each side. So although I still would recommend practicing good arty safety, you know, staying behind buildings or behind hills that you know that artillery can't hit you at, we don't necessarily have to be as careful as we would going up against, you know, 4 or 5 or sometimes even 6, 7, or 8 artillery. There's one of those T-34s I was talking about that's going to nail me. She did, and this is one of those situations where I did use my repair kit to repair my track. Because I was out in the open, I was probably one of the first targets that got lit up. And so their RD was probably zeroing in on me right there and then, so I just wanted to get out of that area and make sure I didn't get RD. This looks like a rock and a hard place here for me. Luckily I have support coming in.
Enemy is hit.
I can pot shot at that tiger too and then hide. I'm going out. And I am down.
Everyone get out.
This was just not a very good round on my part. I probably should have held back a little bit more, seeing what how my team disperses. As you can see, most of them are hiding back on the hill. Right over here in the bushes, not. These are random battles for you, you know, you can't really control what the rest of your team does. Now they're going to move in when it's pretty much too late. Or not really too late, but you know, we lost 1, 2, 3, 4 tanks that maybe we wouldn't have if the entire team would have moved in and not camped back behind in the bushes. That said, I don't think this game is over just yet. If they can play their cards right. Although it might be, I don't know. Let's keep watching and see what happens. Looks like another horrid loss so far. And it probably will be. That said, in a game like this, I mean, a T-34 alone can make a huge difference because of how powerful the gun is. And those tanks, these tanks are just fairly beastly. I mean, it can take a lot more punishment than it used to, and the gun is just incredible. But it doesn't look like this T-34 will make a difference. Looks like he's about to go down. That's another tank I look forward to featuring in the guide or walkthrough, or call them what you will, videos. Panther 2, T-44, let's see. So we've pretty much lost our entire city. Our lone defender, the T-50-2. So what happened there? Well, good majority of our team hang back down on the up on the hill over in Bravo 3, 4, and 5 area of the map. And what that ended up causing is the few tanks that did go into town were essentially taken out by superior enemy forces. And then they just kind of rolled over us, or the remainder of our tanks that were there. Again, it's just random battle, you know, roll of the dice sort of thing. Sometimes it works out great, like it did for our enemy team here. They were able to mass in one area where we were weak, and then push through it, exploit it, and then keep pushing. And sometimes it works out where your team just seemingly, you know, comes together and works well and, you know, does what they're supposed to and wins it for you like the enemy just did. So that's random battles for you, although I admit I did not have a good game. That was a pretty bad game on my part. What I could have done differently is, as I said, I should have paid closer attention to the mini-map and realized that most of my team was hanging back. I should have done the same. And maybe at least taken a couple of them with me before this battle ended. Or before I got killed. This Easy 8 is just hiding in the bush. I don't blame him. Save yourself the repair bill, guy. Alright, let's do one more. Jeez, this is horrible. 165 experience. Wow. Alright, let's do one more here. And Siegfried line. Again, just looking at the lists, at the team makeup here. See what we're going up against. The 4502 and the 704 might definitely be a pain in our side. But it doesn't look like they have much else that can really hurt us here. And this is a encounter battle, meaning each team is vying for only one control point, one base, one flag, call it what you will, which is in the middle of town there, so we all kind of pile in there and hopefully duke it out.
Time to roll out.
Come out on top. What am I going to do? I am going to... I'm going to sit here for a second and see where they're going. It looks like... Looks like everybody's going the same way here. I think I'm just going to follow them. Although I might consider... You know, I'm going to head towards... let's see, Echo 4. Just along the walls of the city here. That way I can kind of look back onto the field also, since we only have one tank that's left in the field. And it wouldn't take much for a fast mover such as the AMX 1375 or 1390 or even T54 to come in that way and go in for our arty. Although it looks like they're coming in the opposite direction. Yeah. So, for the sake of being already safe, I am going to move this way. Looks like we're dealing well with their scouts here. I don't have a shot, I won't bother with it. So I'm just gonna start making my way amongst these buildings. Looks like there's somebody capping already on the enemy team. Wow, still didn't take that scout out, huh? There's quite a few of them going in after him, so it shouldn't be too bad. Looks like there's a T-30 or a T-44 and a T-44 on cap. Gonna pull around here, try and take a couple of shots at him. Along with the 103.
Enemy is hit.
Enemy is hit for 0 damage. That's one thing. One of my pet peeves about this game, I guess, and don't get me wrong, I love this game. I think it's an awesome game. One of my little pet peeves about it is these hits for no damage. I mean, if you want to do that, then just tell me I bounced the damn thing. Don't tell me I hit it for 0 damage, and they're so common nowadays. You know, once in a while, fine. But I mean, there will be instances where you're sitting here and 4 out of your 5 shots are going to be enemy hits for 0 damage. It's like, come on, how likely is that, you know? So to a certain extent, I don't mind, but I think they've just been happening too often recently. It's way too much. 26 in the open. I managed to track him and do some damage, which is awesome. Hopefully I'm reloaded in time before he hides. There we go. What am I shooting here for? I would shoot for his for his frontal plate there usually, but he was giving me his side, so I was just kind of shooting for his side. The reason I wasn't hitting him lower was there was a cement block, whatever the hell that is,
One of
right
our
there in the way.
tracks is damaged.
And I am getting myself RD'd by trying to explain this to you guys. So I was just kind of trying to hit as low as I possibly could on the tracks and do as much damage that way, and I was managing to do a decent amount of damage as well as tracking him with both those shots, so that wasn't too bad. Does look like we're winning.
We nailed it fast.
That is a T26E4. That is a American medium premium, although it's more like a heavy. Sorry, that was an American medium premium. It is more like a heavy tank, though. The reinforced armor on it and the low traverse speed kind of make it more like a heavy than a medium. It's another awesome tank. I have it. I enjoy playing it. I'll definitely make it a point to cover it in one of my videos. And here we are. This looks like a victory, finally. Sit on cap. Didn't really get to do much in this one. I guess it was just over way too quickly. Did get a couple of shots on the T26 and did get a kill, so not too bad overall. That said, their arty is still alive, their artillery is still alive. There's that shot here that just landed on cap, so if their artillery is still alive and you're capping, I'd just move back and forth, or, you know, kind of move around on the cap, don't sit still. Kind of reduces your chances of getting artillery, or getting hit by artillery, even if it's a blind shot. But their artillery did just get taken out, so I can just kind of sit back and relax now. But there you have it. That's a victory. That was a decent game. We only lost 4 tanks so far, at least, knock on wood. There's still a fight going on back there. Alright, and there we have it. That was a very good game. It was the first victory of the day, so of course the double experience here. And you will notice I am using a premium account, so obviously my experience and credit earnings are higher than they would be without it. And it's a nice option they give you. They actually tell you what you would get without it and with it. Kind of cool way to check your other stats here also. How much health you had left at the end of the battle, how many kills, how much experience you made, and any medals that anybody got on the team, and then detailed report. It just gives you some more detailed stats, how many shots you fired, how many of those were hits, how much damage you caused, how many of those hits penetrated the enemy. Just, you know, cool statistics here. Something that was lacking in this game for quite a while. This one came with 7.1 maybe? I don't think it was 8.0. I think it was 7.1 or one of the recent patches that they put all this in, which is just awesome. Alright, let's do one more battle and see how it goes. One last battle here for this video. This is the best map of them all, Q. We're back on Westfield now. It is an assault. And you know, I'm feeling good about this one again, looking at what we're going up against. The ISU 152, those things do hurt, even though they're pretty easy to take out. I think you can probably take one out with 3 or 4 shots. They do hurt. He can take you out with about 2 to 3. So be careful going up against those. The 30, those definitely aren't as badass as they used to be. They've gotten nerfed quite a bit over the months, and yeah, they still hurt, but their armor is definitely not as bouncy as it used to be. Then we have two Tiger 2s.
Move out.
Why am I not afraid of going up against Tiger 2s when I say that they're one of the better tanks in the game? Well, because I know how to play mine, so I know how to counter them. T-32s, I am not sure if they're any good anymore. I haven't played one in a very, very long time. They used to be amazing, but with all the changes to the game, I don't know whether they're any good. I mean, there's just, it's not something... It's not something I go, look out, there's a T-32 on the enemy team, so maybe they're not that great anymore, I don't know. KV-4s, I really haven't gotten to play against that much or with that much, so they're fairly new. So I really can't tell you much about it. Again, it's not a tank that instills fear in me every time I see it, so I really don't know. And then the E50, I will take our T-30 over an E50 anytime. Anyways, what we're doing here is defending our flag, which is back there. So I'm just going to sit myself in a bush and maybe do some sniping as soon as I get some targets lit up over here. They do have 2 artillery. Well, we both have 2 artillery. They have 1 fast mover, we have 2. Speaking of fast movers, there they are. Hopefully our guys over there are able to stop them. That said, we have 1, 2, 3 IS-3s sitting over there, so I'm going to reposition myself towards the east. Once again, too busy talking, not paying attention to where I was driving. Speaking of IS-3s, that's another tier 8 that really does not... Me being in my Tiger 2, I'm not really... It's no big deal to me, an IS-3, it's, you know... They used to be this feared tank back in the day, but they're not really that tough, you know, you just kind of hit them in the driver's hatch, or obviously you don't want to go for the turret, but you just kind of hit them in the driver's hatch or something, and you position your Tiger 2, if you're playing a Tiger 2 properly, as I said, in the 30-degree angle there. And chances are they will bounce a lot more than you will on them, and you'll take them out quite easily. They're not hot shit as they used to be, or as people still make it out to be. KV-4 just went down over here. Looks like our west is getting pushed hard. Not west, our east, northeast, I guess, if you want to call it, is getting pushed hard. So how do you face a Tiger 2, I guess, would be the question now, since I said I'm not really that afraid of them, since I know how to go against one. Going head on, again, front lower glacis plate, you kind of want to try hitting it. You don't want to hit it in the middle of the front lower glacis plate. You kind of want to aim for the corners. There's grass in the way, kind of the left corner or the right corner by where the support hooks, the tow hooks are. Why? Because that is where both the driver and the transmission are located, I believe. So you're kind of looking to take out some modules while you're hitting it. If you hit it dead in the center, as far as I know at least, I might be wrong, but from my experience, if you hit it dead in the center, it you're not really hitting anything other than doing damage. Granted, damage is good, but if you can maximize that and not only do damage, but also I'm getting arty, but also kill a crew member or take out an engine or a component,
We're dead for it. Everyone get out.
that's all the better. So yeah, so you definitely want to be hitting them in the lower glacis plate, going head on. Other than that, you kind of, depending on the tank you're in, you kind of want to try and flank a Tiger 2. Anywhere on the side armor and or the back. Obviously, if you're shooting a tank here, I'll use this T-44 as an example. If you're shooting a tank in the side, whether it's a Tiger 2 or any other tank, aim either for the back half of the hull, or if you have a gun that does enough penetration, the side of the turret. Back half of the side of the turret. That is where most tanks have their ammunition stored. So you have a better chance of taking out their ammo rack. And, you know, you take out their ammo rack, you either damage their ammo rack, meaning they're slower to reload, or if you blow their ammo rack up completely, then you blow the tank up with one hit, essentially. So that's what you're trying to shoot for on most tanks, but, yeah, the Tiger 2s, I mean, the Tiger 2s aren't really any different than most tanks in that respect, where it's lower glacis plate or side rear hull slash turret. What was I gonna say? The only the only exceptions to that rule that I can think of off the top of my head is something like a Tiger P, for instance, whose hull is actually more reinforced than the turret is. So Tiger P, if you're facing it head on, you want to aim for the turret, not the hull. That's really the only thing the only tank I can think of off the top of my head that is an exception to that rule. But this game, as you can see, is pretty much over. We got obliterated. Heavy Eastern push on their part. They already did a good job covering that push. And so we just kind of got taken out. My mistake was coming to the west instead of going to the east right away. The reason I do prefer coming to the west here, where I died in the east here. As you can see, there's not really much cover in the east. Usually what you try and do is your fast movers want to go into a BC Bravo Charlie 890, take that portion there and use the buildings in town as cover, which we didn't, so we were just kind of sitting ducks out in the open. I'm going to do one last game for you guys. I don't like ending it on a loss, especially that bad, so I'm going to do one last game, and hopefully we do better. Himmelsdorf standard battle. It's been a while since I had a standard battle. Definitely my favorite map in the game. First of all, it's just a pretty map, a well-made map. And strategically, it's a good map, you know. It has good good points everywhere. It's not really, it doesn't really favor one side over the other. And I do like urban combat in tanks, you know. There's really no wide open areas, so you're not afraid you're gonna get artied to death, or it's just a nice map. I enjoy it. Looking at our team composition here, the Ferdinand is something I'm afraid of. The T-34 is something I'll be afraid of also.
Let's get this show
Or
on the
not
road.
afraid of, but that I'll look out for. The Jagdtiger 8.8 centimeter, which is the German premium TD tier 8 one. That's the one we're facing. I have mixed opinions about. At times I have gone up against them and gotten completely taken out, just completely owned. And at other times I've gone up against them and completely owned them. So really I don't really have an opinion on whether they are good or not yet. But they do use an 8.8 or 88 centimeter gun. They're 88 millimeter gun rather, I'm sorry, 8.8 centimeter. Which is significantly less powerful than what a lot of tier 8 tanks use, including this Tiger 2, which uses a 1.5. Looking at my mini-map now, there are two heavies going up the hill, which kind of grinds my gears, especially in a standard battle. If this was the assault battle or the encounter or whatever the hell those are that you essentially need to take the hill to win, that's fine. But there are two heavies working their way up the hill and thus leaving where I'm sitting now is Tank Alley. I like to call this Tank Alley. Wide open and then kind of weakening the west as well. So, but let's see what happens. Let's play this out, and what I'm going to do is just camp here for a bit. I think there was a medium behind me. That's Type 5.9 right over there in support, and AFK KV5 hopefully comes in here shortly and helps us out. You know, what I think it is these heavies and all these mediums do belong up in the hill, but I think these heavies, you know, you're just so used to... This Type 5.9 may make a move for it, no. You're so used to playing the encounter battle or the assault battle, or whatever. I think, yeah, encounter battle. That everybody just rushes for the hill because you start out in such close proximity of it, so you just kind of have to. Push for the hill, and everybody's so used to that by now. I would imagine that's why maybe a lot of those heavies went up on the hill. And this T-59 offers a spot for me, which is cool. You know, teamwork and random battles is really awesome. You don't see it very often. You don't see people, you know, offering to do other stuff to help you out in random battles. But, he's asking me to follow him. You know what? I will. It only looks like there's a KV-1 SLO. Let's see what trouble we can get into. Yeah, you gotta love his communication. His attempt at teamwork over here, you always appreciate that. You always appreciate players trying to communicate in the game.
Enemy is hit.
So that you can, see there goes another hit for no damage. I'm kinda way open over here, so I'm gonna hide behind this building.
The gunner bought the farm.
And my gunner bought the farm, so that's, a lot of my gunners apparently own farms somewhere. I don't know where these farms are, but a lot of my gunners have retired to become farmers. One of these days, you know, I'm just gonna
Enemy is hit.
try and find these agricultural meccas, so to speak, and see what the hell they're farming over there.
Enemy armor is destroyed.
There's the KV-2. Now let's go take this KV-1S out. That's KV-1S, that thing. Don't underestimate it. That's really the only thing I can say about it. Don't underestimate it. Sometimes they'll bounce some crazy shots, and those guns hurt. This one wasn't too bad to take out. That said, I mean, don't underestimate any tank. That's, you know, that's just something to keep in the back of your mind, don't underestimate any tank, but especially it's an army. He snuck up on me. Nice. Don't underestimate any tank, but yeah, the KV-1S, those guns hurt, and they can tend to be very bouncy. Those tanks, for whatever reason. So, I mean, I remember instances where, you know, you're going to yourself, oh, that's just a KV-1S, you know, you kind of charge up against that thing in your tier 8 or tier 7 or whatever the hell you're playing. And he just owns you. You know, you're shooting, and you're bouncing every shot you possibly can against it, and he's just owning you with that big gun that he has. And so yeah, kind of don't underestimate it, you know, just pay attention what you're going up against, and never, I call it Ramboing, you know, if you Rambo against other tanks, kind of go off on your own and try to take on the whole team on your own. Don't do that. That's not the way to go. Try and be as much of a team player as possible, and this game actually here is a perfect example of great teamwork between me and that Type 59. Thank you, sir, for that. That was great teamwork of, you know, unplanned. The guy just decided, hey, let's work together, and told me what he was doing, and we did well there. So that worked out great. A victory, finally, to end this video off with. 856 experience. I'll take that. What I would have gotten without premium is 571 and 17.5. So here you can all, which is great. You can kind of see it's a great marketing point on their end. You know, it shows you what you would get with premium and without premium. So, you know, people who might not use premium go, hey, this is what I would have gotten with premium, so let me buy premium. But it gives you an idea of the differences here, which is kind of cool. Also, battle efficiency here lets you know what you did to each enemy tank. I got 2 kills, killed the RD and the KV-2. Also tells you that I damaged an enemy vehicle and how much damage I did. And also tells you the critical damage that you did to a vehicle, meaning taking out a component or two, whatever that may be, whether you've taken out a gun, a track, an engine, one of their drivers, one of their gunners, whatever. And this also tells me that I detected the artillery. Again, team score, you know, you can kind of sort it through whatever. And detailed report gives you how many shots. Shots fired 6, direct hits 6, penetrated 4. Hits received 1. Thing, if you haven't noticed about me yet, is I try not to shoot if I don't have a good shot, an open shot on the target that I'm shooting at. So I try and hit as much as possible. I don't shoot blindly. I don't, you know, don't go off and, oh, he was just there, he disappeared, but maybe he's still there, let me take a shot. I try not to. Why? Because that all reflects in your statistics, and I am a stat whore. My hit ratio, it's definitely not up where I'd like it to be. I'd like it to be more towards 75%, so I'm working towards that. Average experience per battle, 621. I'd like to get that somewhere closer to 700. That would be awesome. 10,500 battles, so yeah, I'd like to get that over towards 700, and my victory percentage, I'd also like to get that more towards 55%. But again, that, you know, random battles, sometimes you can't really affect how they turn out. So sometimes it's not as much in your control as you think. Good way of getting your victory percentage up and everything else is join a clan, do clan wars, do tank companies. You control that. You have a lot more control over those games than you do over random battles. And plus, it's just, you know, it's good times joining a clan, you know, make some friends, playing some platoons, good stuff. Anyways. And finally, maximum experience per battle here is in my Tiger 2. This was a while ago, but it's just a beastly tank, and this was in my Tiger 2. Anyways, guys, this will do it for the first episode of these review episodes. This is the Tiger 2. And yeah, that's thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. Be sure to leave comments. You know, let me know what you enjoyed and what you didn't enjoy. Thank you for watching, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Thanks.